She ran into the rain, her waitress uniform soaked and her hands trembling. Behind her, the sound of a motorcycle roared to life, its headlight cutting through the darkness like a guardian angel in hell. When the biker pulled off his helmet, she had no idea that this tattooed stranger would soon risk everything to protect her from a man who vowed never to let her go alive. But what he did next, no one in that small town would ever forget. The diner sat at the edge of the highway, one of those places where truckers, bikers, and lost souls all came to forget the road behind them. The neon sign flickered, open 24 hours, though inside the air felt heavy like time itself had stopped caring. Her name was Clara, 29 years old, beautiful in a quiet, exhausted kind of way. She wore her blonde hair tied back, her makeup faded after a 10-hour shift, and her hands smelled faintly of coffee and fried bacon. But behind her tired smile she hid bruises, ones that weren't from bumping into tables. Her husband, Ray, used to be charming, used to bring her flowers, call her his sunshine. But that was before the drinking, before the rage, before his eyes turned into something she didn't recognize. Lately, he'd been showing up at her work, slamming the counter, accusing her of flirting with customers, making scenes. Everyone in town knew, but no one said anything. People feared Ray. He had friends in bad places. It was past midnight when he came in again. Clara froze when she saw him through the window. His pickup parked sideways in front of the diner, headlights still on. Her co-worker whispered, "Want me to call someone?" But Clara shook her head. "He'll only make it worse." She tried to stay calm, stacking plates behind the counter, but Ray stormed in, his boots pounding the tile floor. "You think you can ignore my calls now?" he growled. "Ray, please, I'm working," she whispered. "Working?" he sneered, glancing around the room. "Or waiting for your next lover boy?" And that's when he saw him, the stranger sitting in the corner booth, his leather jacket marked with the flaming skull insignia of the Hells Angels. He was big, quiet, covered in tattoos that looked like old scars of another life. He'd been watching the scene with calm eyes, the kind of eyes that saw too much but said nothing. "Hey!" Ray barked, pointing at him. "You staring at my wife?" The biker didn't answer. He just took another sip of his coffee. Ray slammed the table, but before he could speak again, the biker said quietly, "Walk away. You're embarrassing her." The diner went silent. Clara's heart pounded. She saw Ray's jaw clench. He wasn't used to anyone talking back. "You don't tell me what to do, you piece of trash!" Ray snapped, reaching for his belt buckle where a knife glinted under the light. But before he could draw it, the biker stood up, taller, broader, colder than anyone expected. His presence filled the room. "I said walk away." There was no shouting, no fight, just that voice, low, firm, dangerous. And for the first time in years, Clara saw her husband hesitate. Ray spat on the floor, muttered something about crazy bikers, and stormed out. The biker sat back down. Everyone breathed again. But Clara couldn't. Her knees were weak, her throat dry. She brought him a refill and whispered, "Thank you." They ended up at an old biker safehouse miles outside town, a weathered cabin deep in the woods, surrounded by silence. Mace handed her a blanket and made her tea. She couldn't stop shaking. "Why are you helping me?" she finally asked. He looked out the window, the rain streaking down like memories. "Because I've seen men like him, and I've done worse." His voice cracked a little, as if the words themselves carried ghosts. Clara watched him, sensing there was more behind his steel expression, a story of his own. "You were in the Angels." He nodded. "Still am, but not like before. Used to think loyalty meant violence. Now I just keep my brothers safe and stay out of trouble." She smiled faintly. "Guess I brought some trouble to your doorstep." He glanced back at her. "Some trouble's worth it." The next morning, the sound of a truck engine echoed through the trees. Mace's instincts kicked in instantly. "Stay inside," he ordered, grabbing his pistol. It was Ray. He'd tracked her down somehow, shouting her name, furious. "Clara! Get out here now." Her heart froze. "He'll kill you if he sees you," she whispered. Mace just smirked. "He can try." Ray burst through the cabin door, face red with rage. "You think you can hide from me with him?" He lunged at Clara, but before he could reach her, Mace stepped between them, shoving him back. "You don't touch her." Ray swung the knife. Mace blocked it, twisting his wrist until the blade dropped to the floor. The two men struggled, years of hate and hurt colliding in that tiny room. Clara screamed for them to stop, but it was like trying to stop thunder. When it was over, Ray was on his knees, bleeding but alive, Mace standing over him, chest heaving. "Go," Mace growled. "You ever come near her again, I won't stop next time." Ray looked up, broken but defiant. "She's my wife." Mace glared down. "No, she's free." Ray left, limping, humiliated, and for the first time, truly beaten. Clara fell to the floor in tears, the weight of years finally collapsing. Mace crouched beside her. "You're safe now," he whispered. Days turned into weeks. Clara found work in another town, started fresh. Mace stayed nearby, always watching from the shadows, never asking for anything in return. They talked sometimes about music, loss, second chances. He never tried to be her hero, and she never asked him to. But every time she looked at him, she saw not a biker, not a criminal, but a man who chose mercy over violence and courage over indifference. And as he rode away into the morning sun, the roar of his engine fading into peace, she finally realized, freedom wasn't something you waited for. It was something you chose, even when you were scared to death. Sometimes angels don't come with wings. They come with leather jackets, broken hearts, and the courage to stand between a victim and her past. And sometimes the hardest road leads you home.